What's up, YouTube? Young Taz in the building. That's right. Welcome to the Mind of Young Taz. So I changed the name actually quite some time back. Thoughts of Young Taz was pretty cool, but I like Mind of Young Taz. I've actually been planning these. I've been planning this series for like a little over 2 months, especially with this video. Be sure to check out our blog channel. I'm going to upload a video to why I am just now uploading this video, because this was supposed to be done a little over a month ago. But nonetheless, welcome to Mind of Young Taz. As I said before, what I got for y'all today, my top 10 favorite video games or / franchises of all time. So at number 10, my top 10 favorite video games of all time, at the number 10 spot is Pokemon Gold. With Pokemon was introduced to me at a young age, like as far as like the show, the movie and stuff like that. So, you know, I stayed watching it. But as far as the video games go, Pokemon Gold stood out to me. It was introduced to me, I was like around like, I'd say around like 8, 9 years old, you know, and I was already a Pokemon fan. You know, definitely my favorite Pokemon game. You know, what stood out to me in Gold was just that it was one of the first Pokemon games, if I'm correct, with color. OTP, they all had color to them, or?
Yeah, they all had color.
They all had color.
Pokemon Go had better ones.
Yeah, and like I just felt like the variety, it started to be more as far as like variety of Pokemon. Also, that's where one of my favorite legendary Pokemon was introduced to me in Lugia, and I was wrecking everybody and everything with Lugia. The game was, I just love Pokemon Gold, and plus, who don't like gold? You know what I'm saying? So that was number 10. Number 9, oh my gosh, y'all probably gonna be like, damn, this nigga went back with this one. NFL Street 2, not 1, 2. In my opinion, NFL Street 2 is one of the greatest NFL games ever made. Yes, you eat over Madden, over Game Day, over Blitz, over, what's the one that they came out with, Backbreaker, I think it is, or something like that. I think it's called like Backbreaker or something like that. Yes, over all of those, NFL Street 2, in my opinion, is literally one of the greatest NFL games of all time. You know, it has such a unique approach to a good old game of sandlot football, including official NFL teams. You can even make your own team, and you know, you'll be able to rise up through the ranks, and then you'll make your team, like your created NFL team, an official team, which was pretty damn cool. Another thing that I liked about it was like all the things that you can do as far as like power-ups. My favorite thing to do was that damn, what's it called? When you got to run on the walls and you had to hit them hot spots. It was an achievement in the game where you had to hit like over 32 hot spots in every level. And I hit that achievement. Also, them game breakers, which was basically like the special moves to score a touchdown or to get an interception or a fumble to score. Like, that was dope as hell too. I like that aspect. They need to bring NFL Street back. That's what Madden needs right now. Not even Madden. That's what the NFL needs right now, video game wise. You seen what NBA did? NBA done you know, they done shook the game up while releasing Playgrounds, and a lot of people are actually playing Playgrounds over 2K because a lot of us are kind of sick of 2K. I know I am. So definitely bring back NFL Street, please. We need it. We need you back. EA Sports dropped the ball with that one, especially with 3. Why the hell would you only put 3 like on? They put 3 like on PSP. I think that was the only port for it. I don't remember if it was for 360 and PS3, but I know that one was specifically for PSP. Such a wonderful game. Number 8, the godfather of all first-person shooters. My first first-person shooter that I've ever played, Doom. That's right, Doom is at number 8. I was 7, shooting bitches in the face with a shotgun, and I was that guy. I either used the chain gun or the bazooka. I didn't really get to use the BFG until I became an adult. Don't judge me. But that pistol worked. I used to pistol whip them too. You had to do what you had to do, but I always stayed with the bazooka. With Doom, I played it on Windows. Everybody remembers that first Doom when that was on Windows, man. You knew like the, what is it? You knew the cheat codes for like invincibility and all the guns. I think all the guns, I think I still remember it to this day. Like all the guns was like ADKFJA or something like that. But I do remember the invincibility, IDDQD. you got to remember that invincibility cheat, man. I'm gonna tell you talking about running through that game, and the invincibility cheat was good, especially if you were on Nightmare, because Nightmare was like the hardest level. It still is the hardest level to this day. If you guys still have an Xbox 360, go collect Doom 3 BFG edition, because with Doom 3 it gives you Doom 1 and Doom 2 as well, and go back with that nostalgia, man. Let me tell you. Or if you have Windows and you can, download it for free or buy it, I suggest buy it. We don't do free downloads, so make sure you know what I'm saying. But definitely, if you guys have yet to play Doom, if y'all played the newest one that came out last year, I'm glad it won. Didn't that one win? I think that one won Shooter of the Year. I'm glad it won Shooter of the Year, man. Long time coming for Doom. Doom came a long way, and it's still hanging in there with Call of Duty, Battlefield, and even Overwatch. You know what I'm saying? Very, very great game. Number 7, Saints Row 3. Let me tell y'all about Saints Row 3. For years, when I was a teenager, I was playing GTA, and it was like, ew, Saints Row. I don't want to play that. They making fun of GTA. You can't rival them. You know what's funny? I actually like Saints Row over GTA now. And that didn't start till I was like 18, 19. You know why? Because I bought Saints Row 3. My homie, shouts out my homie Dontavius. With Saints Row 3, he was like, bruh, this game is dope as hell. And I just kept seeing the advertisements. Advertisement. But with Saints Row, the main one that I seen advertising for was 2. So I bought 3. 3 was the first one I bought. And Saints Row 3 was actually, I kind of played it backwards, but I got basically a synopsis of the story. It was the first one I ever played. Loved it. I grinded it out in that game. I maxed out everything, stats, guns, everything. Gangs, rival gangs, like resistance to rival gangs, resistance to being arrested. I grinded it out. With Saints Row 3, it's funny because the order I played it, I beat 3, I went back, played 2, beat 2, went back, went forward in time, played 4, beaten 4, and I have Got Out of Hell, but I didn't beat that yet. And I love the silliness and the over-the-top nature of the game. That's what actually turned me on to Saints Row. The first one was very good because it wasn't really over the top like that. I wouldn't necessarily say Saints Row 2 was over the top. They didn't start really being over the top till like 3. A lot of people don't like the craziness and the over the topness. Yeah, I said it, over the topness of the game. I do, and personally, I'll play Saints Row over GTA any day. The game is amazing, and I can't wait for them to drop 5. I'm waiting patiently. I done seen that trailer. Now, number 6, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. Hands down, and I'm talking about over Xenoverse 1 and 2. Hands down, this is the best Dragon Ball Z game ever made. You know why? There was plenty of things to do with this game. What stood out to me is that they had an inventory where you would take, like, say for instance, capsules. You would earn capsules, from Capsule Corp for all my DBZ fans. You would take capsules, and then you would have to combine them. You make alternate outfits. You would make power-ups for specific characters that you mained with. Like, one person I mained with was Adult Gohan, and I leveled him up, and he was more powerful than Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I sure did. So it was just like, also, you would take certain capsules, for example, and you could actually create characters. So I remember one time, I'm like, why haven't I unlocked everybody? And one person I actually wanted, and I was stupid, was I did Bojack. I took Bojack, and then I just took a random capsule, which was actually his, and combined it, and it turned into Super Bojack. So I was just like, oh. And then, like, I remember one where I didn't have Broly, and one of the capsules said Legendary Super Saiyan. And I was just like, and I combined it, and it made Super Broly, or Super Saiyan Broly, which was one of the people I needed. And I ended up creating, like, when I figured that out, which was like years and years later, I just started combining, and I had the full roster up there. Also, one thing I loved about Tenkaichi, and one thing I also love about Xenoverse, is that they are more along the lines, they have what they call what if situations. I love the what if situations in Tenkaichi. They were like, what if Bardock actually beat Frieza, you know, or what if, you know, Captain Ginyu defeated Goku? What if Frieza defeated Goku in the game? Or hell, even what if Zarbon won? You know, it was just like they had a lot of what if situations. When you're trying to beat the game and you're trying to unlock certain characters, it became quite annoying. But in retrospect and in all actuality, you learn to love it as far as those what if situations. Because if you're a huge fan of the series like me, you know, being a lifelong fan, you actually enjoy those what if situations. Because hell, what if Raditz would have defeated Goku and Piccolo and he wouldn't have been killed with that special beam cannon? What if he would have moved out of the way and Goku would have got hit? And it just would have been Goku that was dead, not Raditz. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see a Super Saiyan Raditz. And y'all gonna stop clowning Raditz. He's pretty damn awesome. Just saying. So let's go to number 5. Ooh. Yeah. Now, alone, not just this game, but the entire series is one of my favorite of all time. But I have the game up here. Bloody Roar 2. This was such a unique and rare, underrated fighting game, in my opinion. It was originated in the 90s. You know, I played this to the fullest. I still play this. Me and Young Omen still play this. Shouts out my cousin Young Omen. By the way, my best friend gave me the first Bloody Roar. You might want to check that out, bro. I'm just saying. And this game definitely, you know, has my heart. Like, what I like about this game is that unlike a lot of other fighting games where it's like, get ready for the next battle and you're fighting for like prizes, this one, they were really fighting for, you could say, their humanity. With Bloody Roar, they have this thing called zoanthropy, which is kind of like a parody to lycanthropy. For those who are vampire and werewolf enthusiasts, much like myself, like with Underworld and not Twilight, but like Vampire Diaries, because I don't watch Twilight. Shouts out Vampire Diaries and the original. But like, if you're like an enthusiast like that, yes, they have this thing called zoanthropy, where instead of turning into, you know, just a werewolf, which shouts out You Go to Wolf, that's my main. That's one of them, but instead of just werewolves, it's animals in general. So, you know, you had like You Go to Wolf, Lion the Tiger, Jesus Christ, Gato the Lion, you know, Long the Tiger, Shenlong the Tiger, you know, Yuriko the Half Beast, or the Kitty Cat, as I like to call it, Jenny the Bat. The list goes on. It was like George the Gorilla or something like that, or George the Elephant. I think he's in the first one. But Eddie the Gorilla, there we go. You know, it's just so many, and the game was very unique. Even though it was one of those games where the roster wasn't that big, it was so good because you like the fighting sequences, you like their special moves, which they call Beasterizer. It's called Beasterizer in Japan, but they call it Beasterizer like for their special, or their beast, or shouts out Marshawn Lynch, beast mode. That's what they call that as well when you're doing your special and you're in your beast form. You know, me and Young Omen can play this game for hours. Like, we'll lose track of time playing this game. Still will. The game is so fun to play. Very, very great game. If you guys can find it on Amazon or like GameStop online, I suggest you buy it. Very great game. It's for PlayStation 1. They also have it for PlayStation 2 as well. And if you have GameCubes as well, they have it for GameCube. And this is not just Bloody Roar 2, this is the whole series. This is really one of those underrated games where you can't really walk into a random store and find it. You have to go online and buy it. Speaking of going online and buying it, at the number 4 spot, this game is the reason I became a gamer. My very first video game I actually still have to this day, Soul Blade. Now in Japan they named it Soul Edge. When they brought it over here, they dubbed it Soul Blade. This is the first video game I ever have. I still have it, of course. This is the start of the Soul Calibur series. My experience with this game is a love-hate relationship. Here's the loves. Just the game itself, soundtrack, graphics, everything, the fighting, everything. It was so fluid. To be made to be ported in 1996, this is a damn good game. Good job, Namco. Good job. Here's my hates. Hi, Dad. You used to have me think you were just such a very good gamer when I was a kid. My dad, he picked one character and one character only. And and still to this day, if me and him go one-on-one, he still chooses him. He chooses Valdo. He chooses Valdo. And I used to think he would kick my ass out of this world. When I became a teenager, and even now, he just button mashing. I'm thinking he was good. He was not good. He was just button mashing. I'm thinking he's like the god of this game. I'm like, y'all got me this game for Christmas and I'm getting wrecked. No, button mashing. Sorry, I digress. But this was one of those games, and this was the one game that I was literally terrified. I'll never forget when I did story mode. And I actually went through story mode, well, arcade mode, and I made it to the last one, and I beat Cervantes. And the first time I seen him turn into Soul Edge, when he transformed, I was 6 years old, so I'm seeing him like rise up, and like he turns into Soul Edge. And when I seen it, I turned off the game so quick. For years, I stopped playing that game because I was that terrified. Now I can play it like it's nothing. And the game itself, like they even have this game called, they even have this mode called Edge Master Mode, where you can unlock a lot of weapons, a lot of alternate weapons for that character. Like you have one where it's super powerful, but it's so powerful that it would take some of your lifespan, or your weapon's so powerful it'll take some of your opponent's lifespan. You know, or one's a strictly defensive weapon, or you know, one's a strategic or specifically offensive weapon. They also have it to where they have this meter where if you block X amount of times with your weapon, it knocks your weapon out your hand. Now you got to fight with your fist. I thought that was pretty cool. They put a lot of time into that game. It's definitely one of PlayStation's greatest hits and one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life. And this is one game I will never let go of, ever. Like, even when I have children in the future, Dad, what was the first video game you played? I'm going to whip out that PS1 and I'm putting this bad boy in. That definitely is the reason why I love video games today. One of the reasons. Because my number one game, of course, is the reason I love video games. But before we get to number one, we got to go through number three. Number three, Metroid Fusion. The greatest Game Boy game of all time. Definitely my favorite Game Boy game of all time. With Metro, and definitely one of my favorites in the Nintendo, in the Nintendo era, or out of the Nintendo series of games. With Metroid, it's definitely underrated because when you think of Nintendo, of course, Mario, you know, he's the poster boy for Nintendo. Nintendo had so many games in the 90s, you know, and they had like so many games that was like specifically for Nintendo. So like a lot of people really liked Zelda, like say for instance last year. Me and my cousin, Young Omen, we were pissed because last year was the 25th anniversary of Zelda. And it was a huge celebration for it. But in small print, it said also marks the 25th anniversary of Metroid. And it's like no one cared. Personally, don't get me wrong, Legend of Zelda is a very great game series. I like Metroid more. Metroid is definitely my favorite Nintendo game of all time. With Metroid Fusion, this game, oh my goodness. I remember the first time I played this game, I was like 13, 14 years old. And, you know, I'm on my Game Boy tip, you know, playing Game Boy games, playing a lot of Pokemon, you know, just browsing through different games. I seen Young Omen had this game called Metroid. So he said, you should try it. It's a really good game. Played it, and I loved it. First time I played it, it took me literally about a month and a half to beat it. Now, I done played that game so much, I can probably beat that game in an hour and a half. And I'm talking about have everything done. Like, I'm talking about 100%. Every part of her suit found, all the energy capsules, all the power-up capsules, everything. Like, I would literally, all the missile upgrades, all the bomb upgrades, I can just run through that game like it's nothing. This game is definitely one of the best games ever for Game Boy. If you guys still have like a Game Boy Advance, definitely go online or go to your nearest retro video game shop and find that game. It's a very, very great game to play. I'll even talk about how the worst boss to me, and still to this day, was that fucking spider. It was like this giant spider you had to fight. And what the spider would do is it would be crawling in the air. Like you follow down this big, huge tunnel to where you can't get up. And this spider's in the air floating, and he's hitting you with like beams from his mouth. And it took me like, that alone took me like 3 weeks to beat. And I rage quit it so much trying to, you know, kill that damn spider. Another reason why I hate spiders. And the funny thing is, when I defeated him, that's where you get the floating skill. Anybody that, you know, plays Metroid, you know about the floating skill that she has when she jumps up in the air. You get that from defeating the spider in that particular game. Also, you know, with Metroid, they do have other great games, you know, like the first Metroid, you know, Super Metroid, Metroid Zero Mission, but Fusion, definitely, that holds a special place. That definitely is that's like my number 3 favorite game of all time. So now, we're going to go to my number 2 favorite game of all time. Y'all know I'm a huge wrestling fan. Yes, you got the first WWF SmackDown, you know, you got WWF Crush Hour, you got Day of Reckoning, you got SmackDown vs. Raw, you got WWE 2K17. My favorite WWE game of all time, and also dubbed as my second favorite video game of all time, is WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. Literally, hands down, the greatest game that was ever released by the WWE. Reason why I'm saying this is because they had everybody you wanted in a WWE superstar in that game. You had, and this is where it was like when John Cena was an up-and-comer, but he was in the game. Then you had like Kurt Angle, rest in peace. You had Chris Benoit. You had Shawn Michaels. You had Kevin Nash. You had Scott Steiner, Brock Lesnar, who was the poster child for this game. You had Goldberg, which really, that's why I really wanted the game. I didn't care for Brock Lesnar. I'm a Goldberg fan, you know. I wanted Goldberg in there. You could put Goldberg versus Lesnar, Goldberg versus Stone Cold, who was like, that was like one of the main games. That was like, I think that was like the last game where Goldberg, or not Goldberg, but like Stone Cold was, you know, a character, like not an unlockable character, but like someone from the actual roster before he became like a unlockable character or a lockable legend character in the games nowadays. Story mode, one of the greatest story modes in WWE video game history that I've ever played. It's so extensive, like it was to the point where you could choose to be a heel or you could choose to be a face, and it all depended on whatever situation you're in. And my favorite one was the Survivor Series one where they introduced the Elimination Chamber, because this was the first game that introduced the Elimination Chamber. And it was funny because you started a faction. When you started this faction, what happened was you ended up being like the biggest assholes in the planet, like in all of WWE. And then Eric Bischoff or Stephanie McMahon would come out and be like, you know what? Or Vince McMahon would come out and be like, you know what? Since you're so bad, how about this? You're gonna go in the Elimination Chamber. If you clicked yes, you agreed to that match. Funny thing was, you didn't have any of your teammates in that faction in the match. It was you against all the enemies you made, against five main enemies you made. And if you were the champion, you had to retain your championship. I think every time I did say yes to it, I won the match. I think I lost one match. And the funny thing is, with the Elimination Chamber, I was number 1. So I had to withstand everybody. And don't let me have a creative character, and he's not that good. I think that's the one time I lost, thanks to Scott Snyder. And I was so pissed. But it's, like, story mode was so good. Like, creative character was so good. And actually, this was a wrestling game where the moves actually were correct. It wasn't all extra. It was actually how the move was performed. WWE, y'all need another SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. Y'all need another Here Comes the Pain, like, just period, man, because that I wouldn't say that was a diamond in the rough. That was a gem for wrestling games. You can still find that at like retro video games or online, guys. I'm pretty sure y'all still have a PS2. Y'all have a PS2, definitely go cop it, because I know every time I buy a PS2 and then I give it up and then I buy another PS2, that's one of the main games I have to have. And now for my number 1 video game of all time. Not just the game itself, but the franchise. But for this one is the game itself. My number 1 favorite video game of all time, which I still own to this day, is Tekken 2. This also was a game that got me into gaming, along with Soul Blade. With Tekken 2, I would like to thank my uncle, Young Omen's dad, for this, because I will never forget it when like I was a little kid, you know, staying with my grandparents. You know, we were all there, like, you know, me, my mom, his mom, you know, him. I would like, you know, me being a little snot-nosed kid that I am, running around the house, never touched a video game. I mean, I have, you know, with Pac-Man and Duck Hunt, but nothing like Tekken 2. I would walk past, you know, Omen's mom's room, walk past her room. I see my uncle playing Tekken 2, and I'm like,
And he would see me standing there in the doorway, and then I'll just go on about my business. And then one night, I'm standing in the doorway watching him play it, and he's like, "You want to play or you want to watch?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it just caught me by surprise, like how great this game was, like story-wise, and like arcade mode, how awesome it was. The gameplay was nice. The soundtrack, still one of the most iconic soundtracks today. And if you guys got Tekken 7, definitely go listen to that soundtrack specifically. They have the soundtrack from every Tekken game, and it's pretty cool. And you already know, with this being my favorite Tekken, I got that Tekken soundtrack on there. It's pretty dope. Tekken 2, definitely, that's what set up for me to be the gamer I am today. If it wasn't for Tekken 2, I wouldn't have got Soul Blade, and then now look at me as a gamer. I still have this game to this day. Definitely one of the greatest games ever. Definitely my favorite Tekken game and one of the best Tekken games ever made. A lot of people would say Tekken 3 was one of the greatest Tekken games ever made, which it was. I even have Tekken 3 as well. But personally, my personal favorite was 2, and it still is. Very, very great game. And you can play that game for hours and you just would never get bored. It was like from the amount of characters you had to the amount of combos you had to just making it to the final boss and trying to beat him with every character, the rage quits, you getting mad, you being happy when you finally beat it. It's still there to this day. The game is so great, and I'll never stop playing that game. And I'm glad I still have it, and I'm never getting rid of it. So that was my number one favorite video game of all time / franchise, because definitely Tekken's my favorite franchise. I'm such a Tekken enthusiast, it's ridiculous. And again, y'all, that was my top 10 favorite video games of all time. Also, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe. You click the bell, you get notifications when we drop new content. Speaking of new content, feel free to check out our other channels. We have Team THG Picks, where me and the Top Hat Gang, of course, are out here making skits. We're doing challenges. We're having debates. We're having discussions. We're even doing reaction videos. And we have Team THG Vlogs, where we vlog our everyday lives. So again, it's your boy Young Taz in the building. This has been The Mind of Young Taz and my top 10 video games. Peace.